I'm here with Kristin and Danny. What's up? Oh, fuck, I've wanted to do that for so fucking long. Did you get to be a part of it, Halston? You want to do it one more time?
Let's do it.
Okay, I'm here with Kristin and Danny. What's
up? Yay!
So I'm gonna start.
Thanks for having us.
Here, grab the mic. Talking to the mic.
Thanks for having us.
No, of course. You can just almost eat the mic. Keep it right by your face. You can move it around as much as you want. Pull it to you.
Gotcha.
So you guys don't know how I became fans of yours?
I want to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys 3 years ago went viral on Facebook.
Yeah.
I think the date was December 27th.
Yeah, on our Christmas video. Is that the one you saw?
Yeah.
And so did I.
Oh my goodness.
So the two most top trending videos on that day was me and you guys.
Nice.
So I watch your video and I'm like, and I'll be really candid, I'm not a song parody guy.
Sure.
Yeah.
But then I go, but there's something about you guys that looked like you had a cool relationship. So I go, who are these people? So I go back and I'm like, I mean, I deep dived you guys so much. You have no fucking idea. And it became a very guilty pleasure that I couldn't share with a bunch of people because I grew up in the South. My wife grew up in the South. We grew up with regular family values, and Hollywood's very different. And so when you start mentioning religion in Hollywood, as I'm sure you guys know,
absolutely,
it's almost like you said the N-word.
Yeah,
it's really that bad. And to go into a meeting and say I'm Christian is a hate crime.
You're the plague. You're like you're back in the
Here, pull that mic right. Pull it out. Yeah. Here, watch. Pull it out to you.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's okay.
I feel like there's a barrier between me and you, Bert. And we're these people
Look at me,
that we want to hug
Bert,
you.
Where are you?
But we had so much in common that I couldn't help it. You both lived in LA for a while.
15 years.
For 15 years. You were you worked on Attack of the Show.
I was on Attack of the Show. I was on G4 TV for a decade. So X-Play, Attack of the Show. Any gamers that were back in the day, they know me from that. So. And
you were doing comedy videos, doing comedy out here.
Yep, doing comedy.
I've seen your apartment you lived in. I watched a bunch of your fucking videos. Dude, I deep dived you hard as fuck. And so it was like a guilty pleasure. I'd watch you guys' videos, and we're gonna. By the way, I'm gonna get to interviewing you in a second. And the thing that switched me hard as fuck to being like, okay, I'm following them on Instagram. I'm following them on Facebook. I'm literally you guys took a family vacation to Branson, Missouri, yeah. And I was like, oh, I don't know shit about them. I don't know anything about you and your family growing up. And I was like, wait, I think you said something about cheerleader or something. And I was like, whoa, hold on. How do I not know? And then I literally was like, I'm going to make it my mission to become friends with them and bring them on my podcast and get to know them and then turn people on to you guys. Because I think what you guys do is really fascinating. And we'll get to that. But first off, I'm going to start with Kristin. You grew up in Texas.
I grew up in Texas, Dallas,
Texas.
The belt buckle of the Bible Belt, baby.
And so what was your trajectory on growing up? I want to know everything. I want to know everything. And we only have an hour because you guys got to catch a flight. But growing up, your relationship with the church. Yeah. And your relationship with Hollywood and wanting to move out to LA. Sure. I'd love to know, and Danny, chime in on the stuff that she lies about.
I know, right? It's true. You know my story better than I do. Yeah. So I grew up in Dallas, grew up in Plano, North Dallas. Grew up in a family that we went to church every Sunday. It was just what you did.
Sisters?
Just part of culture. I have one brother, Lance.
That's good. You don't want her to have a sister because then if her sister's hotter than you, Thanksgiving's off.
It's confusion. Wait, you're like, no. I got a brother. My parents are just amazing people. My dad's not here anymore. He passed 4 years ago.
Your dad? Okay, ready? This is the stuff I do.
What?
Your dad was 6'4"?
6 foot.
6 foot.
Dude, big guy?
He was a big guy.
Big handshake?
Big hair too. Lots of hair.
I fantasize about handshake. People's, like when I see, it's part of what's wrong with me. But you get their story. I start picking, I go, oh, it's really called bigotry. It's when you determine things about someone not knowing them.
Yes. Yeah.
But if you do it about white people, it's fun.
Yeah, totally. So, we're cool with that.
Well, he was a man of few words, and he had the drawl, the Texas drawl, talk like this. And when I first met him, and he's a one-word answer guy. Few words, man of few words, and it'd be, yep. Nope, just like that. And a big drink? Hunter.
He was an alcoholic for years in his life. Yeah, okay. He didn't. He was kind of got freed from that. I'm thankful because it was not good for our family, obviously. My parents were separated when I was little because of it. But he's an awesome dude. He's very he's a stubborn guy, and so I think when he was just done drinking, when his mind shifted that way, he was just done, cold turkey.
Well, let's hope that happens for me.
Yeah. I mean, like he didn't go through AA or anything like that. He was just like, I'm done.
I get stubborn like that. I decide to quit drinking, and I just shut it off, and then I go, I'm not drinking, but I become almost intolerable with my stubbornness.
Yeah.
But so at what age did you go, I want to entertain?
Okay. So I went to TCU, Texas Christian University, and was on a track I was studying political science, wanted to do international law. And then my first time entertaining ever was when I started cheering for the Dallas Cowboys. So that's just something that you do in Texas growing up in Dallas. Like you got to audition one time to be a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader just to say you did it. And I had no dance experience. I never cheerleaded in my life. I remember pulling up to Texas Stadium with 1,000 girls wrapped around the stadium waiting to audition. And I was going to turn around. I got on the phone with my mom and I was like, Mom, I'm not going to do this. I borrowed a leotard and tights from my roommate in college, that lived in my dorm. And I'm like wearing borrowed tights. Like everyone's got their hair in Velcro rollers and all this makeup on. And I'm just like, what am I doing here? My mom's like, you get in there and you take your sack lunch and you go audition and you do this. And I'm like, okay. So I go and I keep making it past these rounds. There's like a lot of rounds to be a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. Like you go, you dance, there's choreography, there's an interview, there's a talent portion.
I never made it past the first round.
I know. Sorry. Did you shave? I don't know what's going on. And so for the talent portion, I sang and played the guitar. 95% of the girls danced. Yeah. And so that's really what set me apart. But it was hilarious because they call you up. There's like 80 girls left. They're dwindling it down from 80 to 30. And they're like, Kristin or number 3 or whatever I was. And I come out and I brought my amplifier to plug my guitar in. And it's just crickets. Like I'm walking over, grab my amplifier and like pulling it out, plugging it in. You hear everything. It's like, like hi. It's a very, you can imagine, it's a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. So it's like a lot of judgment going on and they're sizing you up. A lot of bigotry as well there too, like sizing people up. And so, I was so awkward, but I did it. I sang Cowboy Take Me Away by the Dixie Chicks, but I changed it to like Dallas Cowboys Take Me Away. And I ended up making the squad. I couldn't believe it. It was like I was literally auditioning just to say I did it. I made their show group, which travels overseas and cheers like on USO tours. I saw like 25 countries my year as a cheerleader.
How old are you?
I was 18 at the time.
Yeah, that was the incentive too of her actually doing.
That's the only reason I stayed on the squad.
She wanted
honestly,
to travel.
I'm like, I get to be on this show group and sing. They basically picked me because they needed a singer. I was the worst dancer. I was in the back all the time. Like we would do these shows, like Pepsi conventions and things, and they'd be like, Kristin, move, and I'd be like, end up behind the pole at the conference, like you can't see me, and they're like, that's perfect, And then, but it was time to sing. Get out here and do this. Yeah. So, cut to American Idol came the first season. They were auditioning in Dallas, and I auditioned to be on, and I make it to the top 30 that year. So
Holy shit.
So
when you don't know shit about people.
It was crazy.
This is why my wife says you need to shut up at a party and let other people talk.
You got to tell them the funny part of the story.
So this is take yourself back to the first season, cusp of reality television.
Yeah.
It's like
Brian Dunkelman's on it.
Thank you. Pop culture trivia.
He's driving Uber and will not be shamed by it. Let me tell you something. I know Brian Dunkelman.
I do know Brian
too.
He's a good
fucking guy.
I know we could talk Dunkelman later. He's a good guy. Survivor's on, a couple reality shows on MTV. That was like the cusp of reality television. I didn't know if it was going to be a hit. People in my dorm room were like, hey, you're the girl that sings with the guitar. Go audition for this new show that's here. So I show up, again, line wrapped around. It's like I'm like, this is Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders all over again. It's all these people that are more prepared than I am. And I'm standing there and someone taps me on the back and I turn and it's Kelly Clarkson. But she wasn't Kelly yet. She's auditioning. And she's like, hi, this is going to sound really weird, but are you Miss Burleson? Guys, I competed in one pageant in my whole life because you have to in Texas. Yeah. And I happened to be Miss Burleson at the time. And she recognizes me. I'm not even wearing my sash or crown or anything. And she's like...
It would have been really weird if you were.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And then said, how'd you know?
And I was like, yes, I am Miss Burleson. Like no one's ever recognized me as Miss Burleson. And Kelly's like, well, I'm from Burleson. That's my hometown. And I see you all the time on the cover of the paper, cutting the ribbon at Walmart, whatever you pageant
Kelly
girls.
Clarkson must have been like, there's no way I'm beating Miss Burleson.
Yeah, right. I'm so intimidated.
But that was like my moment where I was like, oh, that is so cool. And then she somehow auditioned the way they, you interview with producers and all that stuff. She auditions before me and I hear her And I remember all of us sitting outside, and I was just like, we should all just pack it up and go home. Like that girl's going to win this thing.
I have a secret crush on Kelly Clarkson that there's, I love her music and I can't play it with my windows down. I real quick throw in Trinidad James if someone sees me. I'm like, oh, all gold everything.
You went out and bought the Nissan, because it's so quiet and so.
I love Kelly's amazing. She's such an amazing girl. I'm so glad she won, and I love her music too, and she's just great. But so I ended up making it. So I'm the girl that I go in an audition and I sing "Fallen" by Alicia Keys. You remember that song? If I wasn't having 4 days of laryngitis, I would sing it for you right now. But I sang "Fallen" by Alicia Keys. And then I ran to the judges' table after they told me I was going to Hollywood and fell under the table. Yeah. So I sang "Fallen."
You can look it up.
And then I fell.
God. It's a great clip.
So you can show that. It's totally
it's a great grainy
Kristen
clip.
Holt, "Falling Under the Table," American Idol. You'll find it. That was my maiden name. And so
Chase Leopard voice monster edit. I need some fucking footage of this.
Oh, it's great. It's on my page too. Definitely. It's amazing. It's worth watching. So I'm like, okay, maybe no one will watch this show. Maybe no one will see this happen.
So you sang "Fallen" and then you fell.
I sang "Fallen" by Alicia Keys and then I fell. And so I'm like, maybe no one will make that connection. Cut to 2 months later, Access Hollywood's on. I'm in my dorm room at TCU because there's downtime between going out to Hollywood and all these auditions. And here comes Access Hollywood, and I hear the music for the first time. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. And here's Nancy O'Dell. She's like, "There's a new show coming out on Fox, and check out this girl. She sang "Fallen" and then she fell." And I was like, "Dear God, please tell me someone else sang "Fallen" and then they fell on the road." And here I come, and it was my first time to see myself on television, and they played it 3 times on a loop. Here she goes. It was a great fall. It was a great fall.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see it.
If you're gonna fall, this is the way you fall.
And we've got guys. There's a guy, Monster Voice Edit. Is that his thing on Instagram? They're so good at taking videos and re-edit them and making them hilarious. What a cool experience. My dad made me go, and when I was first moved to New York, they had want to be a VJ auditions. Yeah. And Jesse won it, and so did Dave Holmes. Were the 2 guys who won.
Yeah.
And my dad said, "Get up and go." And I said, "Dad, but it's a long line." He goes, No. You're gonna never regret not going, but you'll never regret going, but you'll regret not going.
Yeah.
And he goes, "It's a neat instrument." Dude, I to this day, when I see Dave Holmes, I have a connection with him. I know him passingly.
Sure.
We used to live on the same street. But I just go, "Oh yeah, good to see," you have a weird connection with that experience.
Yeah.
Jesse
totally.
went missing.
Yeah.
Oddly enough. Yeah. Who saw that coming, huh?
Exactly.
Shut up. Drugs got into that guy's life? Get the fuck out.
No way. So American Idol really changed the trajectory of my life. Like I was in college at the time. Yeah. Like I told you, I was going to do international law. All of a sudden I'm top 30 in this hit show.
19 years old?
I was 20 at the time.
And then you go, "Fuck it, I'm moving to..." By the way, I curse. I hope you guys are cool with that.
Really? You do? I had no idea.
Okay.
We've heard your stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Good.
Super offended.
I know, but I say some aggressive shit too sometimes, so...
I know, it's really interesting, this cross-pollinating of audiences happening right now, because like you said, we were taken aback to hear that you... listen to our stuff, like when you talked about us on your podcast months ago, and we had some friends or inbox messages dude, this comedian Bert, he's talking about you guys, and we're like, what? It was so cool to hear.
I was nervous that it was going to come out like I was shitting on you guys when I wasn't, but there is, I think, and we'll get to this in a second, but I think that there is a usefulness for what you guys do for people that listen to my podcast. Awesome. It's not the same, you're not going to get the same thing from me that you get from you, but I think that what you guys do is pretty cool, and I am curious why you don't have a podcast personally, but keep going. I apologize.
I think it's in the mix, but
it's in the making, yeah.
So American Idol changed my life.
Yeah, they bring you back.
I had an agent from the show. They brought me back on the 2nd season as a correspondent. Well, they hired me as a co-host with Seacrest. And this is where
take Dunkelman's place.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. But here's
the plot thickens.
Here's how it happened.
Right now, Dunkelman's in his Uber going, "Fuck.
No.
I can't pick you up, man. I'm sorry. I gotta listen to this shit."
No. So what happened is I went back to, after I got voted off the show, I went back to TCU, and then I read in the paper that Dunkelman wasn't coming back for season 2. Called Nigel Lithgow because I knew him from season 1. I was like, "Hey," and this was like a good idea at the time. Now that's like a formula: bring a contestant back and make him a correspondent, red carpet, whatever. But again, this was 15 how many years ago? And so I call I'm like, hey, I read in the paper Dunkelman's not coming back. What are your plans for another host? He's like, well, I think we're just going to go with Seacrest, blah, blah, blah. I was like, dude, you should totally bring someone back that has had the experience of being a contestant that can relate to these people. And he's like, well, who do you have in mind? And I'm like, well, me, I wouldn't be calling. I'm not calling to nominate somebody else.
Well, I had Kelly Clarkson in mind, but she won. So
exactly.
Number 2 would be, I don't know me. You fucking dumb twat.
So he's like, well, have you ever done anything like this before? I had been like a local news person in Dallas after I got voted off the show. I was like the Idol correspondent in Dallas. So I like overnighted tapes to him, like legit tapes, overnighted tapes. I had a couple producer friends on the show that were kind of in my corner, knowing that these tapes were coming. Patrick Lynn, Rhonda Shea, who were on the show for the next 15 years producing. And they walked into Nigel's office and like, you should give this girl a chance. And so he calls me like 2 days later and he's like, I'm going to fax you a contract to co-host this show. Can you be in Detroit for the first audition city in like 3 days? I asked TCU to give me my tuition money back for the semester and they gave me most of it back and I flew to Detroit. They didn't tell Seacrest that they hired me. So that was fun to show up on the first day of work and be like, hey, and he's like, what are you doing here, Kristin from season 1 contestant? Yeah. I was like, hey. I think I'm hosting the show with you.
Waiting to get sexually harassed. I know what you do, buddy.
I don't know. I'm like, let me look at my
joking Ryan Seacrest.
No, but I was like, in my mind, I'm like, should I go look at my contract? It did say that I'm hosting the show, right?
Yeah.
So long story short, I was basically filmed 6 audition cities as a co-host, but was cut out of the entire show, most of it. And then they gave me a job as a correspondent. So I lived in the house with the contestants and like did little stories around the house. Some of them made the air, some of them didn't. But my goal, I was like, look, I'm not trying to take him his job. I just want a job and a reel and an agent because I love doing this. I realized on my time in Idol that I loved hosting shows and more than I did singing and
hosting's a weird muscle.
It's a weird muscle.
It's a very weird muscle, and it takes a little getting used to. And some people jump into it very quickly. And for me, I was a really bad host. I had a hard time reading prompter. I have a hard time reading out loud, so I could never.
The prompter things, it's a weird mind thing. You either kind of have it or it's like a weird thing.
Some people can connect, man. Yeah. I have video of me reading prompter that I'm going to post on Instagram. So I have my own TV show for a late night talk show. That was the connection is you had Attack of the Show. I was on the X show on FX, which was a late night talk show.
And we never like crossed paths during my time.
I wish I could DNA tracked it and find out. But I would think so.
I mean, because when you see someone, you're like, God, Bert. I mean, I know I've seen your face just from what you do, but I'm like, man.
Well, I would argue we probably tested for the same fucking horrific. I did maybe 100 pilots.
Oh yeah.
I did 100 pilots. I had a show on Spike called Fresh Baked Video Games.
Dude, that must be just where I've seen your face because back in that time, I'm like, man, I know I don't know. I was like on a red carpet with Bert or something, and like you're working for I don't know. So anyways,
but so then you get you do that, you get an agent.
Yep. Agent. And so I start booking shows. I moved out here, just lived with, 5 people from, who do I know from high school out here, kind of how you do. And I was like, I'm going to give this a try. And started booking I booked G4, which is one of the first jobs I ever booked. They brought me in. They're like, what's the last video game you've ever played? And I'm like, Mario Kart on Nintendo 64. I was just honest with them. Yeah. And they're like, can you read prompter? Can you do this? Do you have a passion about games? My dad ran coin operated games, his business back home. So I grew up like penny arcades and bowling centers and doing all that. I was like, I love it. I love games. I'll learn. Yeah. So I learned, and I basically was on every show that G4 had until the network died, for a decade. But then I also worked for like the fuck Squeaky Chair, dude. No.
Jesus Christ, yoga moves back there.
And but I worked for like TV Guide Channel, E. I turned down a 3-year deal at E. I just didn't want to do like Hollywood news. I thought I did. Funny.
I turned down a deal at E as well.
Did you? What was your
Ryan Seacrest?
What were you gonna do?
Like they wanted me to leave Travel Channel and go to E and do stuff at E, and I think it was E. Maybe it was A&E. Anyway, I was just like. It's so funny. I don't know where it was.
Those are 2 very different networks, Bert.
I can't remember, but I was like, I got to a place. I'm in a very nostalgic place about Travel Channel because I got drunk and watched it last night.
Aww, but are you missing it? Are you missing
no, I'm not missing it at all. Oh. But those times were so much fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but like I'm so much better without them.
Yeah. You're good now. Hey, it's seasons.
I make more money in this podcast than I ever made on their shows.
Wow. Hey, but it's seasons of life. Like, I would never want to go back and do some things that I did 10 years ago, but I'm grateful for that season. Absolutely. And I love what we're doing now.
All right, so now let's get juicy on this before we shift over and get the life story from Danny. Where were you? And I know that my fans are going to go, Bert, for real. Where were you in faith during this time in Hollywood? Debauchery?
Oh, yeah.
Drugs and alcohol?
Yeah.
Boys? Like, I want to know where was your moral compass during that time?
Yes, all of that. Like I said, I grew up in church, but I had a head knowledge of like God, but not, my heart wasn't in it. And I wasn't applying it to my life back then. Like a lot of hypocritical people, that say that they're religious and don't have any fruit in their life of actually studying what they say they believe. I just grew up in a culture like that. There's a lot of that in the South, it's like we do this on Sunday, but then where's Jesus in my life the rest of the 6 days of the week?
Definitely nowhere at Thursday at 5 p.m.
Right, exactly. And to be truthful, I mean, I had seeds of faith in me, but they weren't being nurtured. They weren't being watered. I wasn't really giving them much thought. So when I moved out here, I had a good head on my shoulders, but I was like going to be thrown to the wind like most any other young girl that moves here. I met Danny early on during that time, and we were just friends for 3 years. He saw me through my American Idol. What? Stop it.
I've been in that situation too.
Yeah. But Danny did, and he'll tell.
Sure. I'll pick you up, Kristin.
Yeah. No, but he did.
That's real.
He picked me up from the airport when I would fly in for Idol, like to do work before I actually moved here. Yep. I was engaged to someone else at the time, and I mean, we not on the radar. Never thought I was going to get married to Danny. He was like my dude, my boy in LA, and I just knew he was a good guy, and so I just trusted him. You know what I mean? I knew I'm like, I don't know where I'm going, but this is a guy you can trust, and that. And within seconds of meeting Danny, you're like, everybody wants to be his friend.
He seems like I'm going to get to Danny in a second because I have a really good friend that I grew up that reminds me of Danny, but. What about drugs and alcohol?
Okay, so when I first moved here within like 3 months, I found myself doing things I never thought I would do in life ever. Like I'd be the last person that you'd be like, let me just have a crystal ball and see what Kristen Holt is doing from high school right now. Having her hair held back by a stranger, throwing up in a toilet from someone that she just met. Like I went through crazy town USA for the first 3 years I was in LA, and he saw the decline. He saw me move out here with a good head on my shoulders, and then like, oh no, what's happening? Because he was out here longer than I was before, so he had seen the cycle of friends.
Why is she dating Luke Wilson?
Exactly.
Luke Wilson was everyone's bottom for a period. Of girls I knew, like I went on a date with Luke Wilson.
And you're like, you're hearing this? You're the 10th girl that's told me that. No, but as being a red carpet host, you do get you find those celebrities or people that have that reputation. I don't know anything. I'm not saying anything about Luke Wilson. I don't know him, but
me either. I just know 2 girls that dated him, but went to rehab right after.
But I am saying that is a trap, and that it's easy to fall into, and you think you're the only one that so-and-so has ever asked to come off the red carpet to go have dinner, and then there's all these other, and so I quickly found myself going, I didn't know who I was after 3 years of living here. I was like, who am I? And I had a breakdown. He was a personal trainer at the time as one of his many ways of supporting himself here living in LA. And he had a private training studio where he would train clients. And I would go in, and I'd come in at 8 a.m, and I couldn't do exercises because I'm hungover from the night before. I'm like falling. He's wanting me to do skaters or whatever and touch my toe. And I'm like, can we do something else? This is really, really hard on my head right now. And we ended up not training and just talking. And Danny's got like a pastor's heart. He wants people to be fit, and he wants people to do this. But at the end of the day, he's like, how's your heart, man? How's your heart? And at 25 years old, I had like a quarter life crisis. I just broke down, and I was like, I feel like I've lost myself out here. I feel like I don't know who I am. My brother's visiting me next week, and I have a phone full of people that could probably give 2 craps if I died tomorrow. Like they party with me, but would they really be at my funeral? I mean, I was like going through like that real stuff. And so we just started talking, and I was like, will you hang out with me and my brother this week? Like, you're the only decent guy in LA. For real. I found you. Will you hang with me and my brother? And he did. And we went to like a Dodgers game and just normal, like good stuff that week. And the day my brother left, after that week, he was like, you want to go out tonight? And I could tell it was like we're going out. Like, we're not just going to hang and be friends. Like, we're going to go out. And
first date.
Yeah, first date. So
wait, how did the engagement
end?
And
you asked me about faith. I didn't find like God till later.
I really want to know about coke, but
yeah.
Did you ever do coke?
I didn't do coke. No.
You missed out. No. How did the relationship end with the engagement?
I was like I broke his heart and was brutal because I was a selfish jerk at that time.
I would have liked to have run into her at that and seen from what I know now. Did you ever go to church when you were out here?
So I did ish, kind of. Like I went, I like dabbled. But when Danny, you want to take over, because when if we're gonna talk about the church thing real quick,
you want to wait on that, Bert? Or do you want to come back to it?
I want to wait on that because Danny is there's a lot I don't know about Danny, but I assume to know about Danny.
Yeah, the church story is great. It's funny, it's great, and it's how we.
Well, tell me right now
how we came, but it involves Danny. So if you want to know his story before we tell you how we found God,
and then we can come back to how we met.
So
That's
pause.
great. Yeah.
I had a breakdown in LA. 25 years old, and Danny's a huge part of that, and we did find going back to church, but let's talk.
So tell me if I'm wrong. You were part of a traveling ministry show?
Yes.
I'm
singing evangelist.
I'm singing evangelist.
Yeah, that's what they call
Okay,
it.
so start there.
Yeah. So
how old are you when you're doing this?
I was birthed into it. So my folks were doing it. My mother met my father when he was up in a quartet, a singing quartet, and with the plaid jackets and the crew cuts back in the 60s.
Tell him the name of the group.
Let me guess. Danny and the Psalms.
They're called the Revelators. So
I like it.
With plaid jackets.
Plaid jackets, yeah.
I bet when Young Guns 2 came out, they're like, that was our name. Revelators.
Yeah, the Revelators.
Oh, I guess it was Regulators.
Yeah, Regulators. Mount up.
Mount up.
Yeah, that's hilarious. So my father was the tenor, shook his leg apparently when he sang a little bit, so caught the eye of my mom.
He was watching Elvis.
Yeah, he was.
I know that you're not allowed to say that it's a hate crime to say I want America to go back to that time.
Yeah.
But isn't there's something so genuine and sweet about a guy just shaking his leg on stage and then the pretty girl inside going, oh, I bet that guy knows how to move. Oh, that's so fucking beautiful.
So, yeah, he was in the group along with his brother and then 3 other guys. And they traveled around, for like churches mainly.
Out of Indianapolis?
Out of Indianapolis, yep. And so that's where my mom saw him. She was singing on her own at the time with a little trio of girls. And so they're like, hey, we got to get together. So naturally, it just kind of fit into, once they did get married, they were like, we're starting our own group. And so they traveled around, get this group. They had a group at one point called the Heaven's Happy Sounds. Give me that.
You can probably Google that.
I will implore you to simply make that T-shirt and sell it on your website.
Heaven's Happy Sounds.
The Heaven Happy Sounds.
Heaven's Happy Sounds. So they had this group. They had a few different groups, but once they started having children, we became a part of the show, if you will.
So you've got a brother?
I have, an older sister, an older brother, and then myself. So I'm the youngest of 3. And
his brother and his wife and their 4 kids travel around. They all play instruments.
They
and
have
sing too.
a tour bus.
They have a tour bus.
Yeah.
So that's what we did as a family. We were more weekend warriors. We weren't. It wasn't a full-time thing for us because the kids we were involved in sports and so many other things. And so
baseball.
Everything, but my main sport was football.
Really?
Yeah.
He'll tell you, but he played in college, played overseas for a few years, and that.
Part of the things that you're not seeing if you're listening to the podcast is Danny's got the body every guy wants. It's like a swimmer's body almost. Like, but now it's called a CrossFit body.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're in great shape. So when you
It's really annoying.
He went through an illness that we'll talk about. Hopefully we'll get to. I think we have time. But that kind of took your musculatureness away.
Yeah.
And I watched that on Instagram, and it was super scary.
Yeah.
And then a part of me was like, I should reach out. And then I was like, I don't fucking know these people. Like, he's going through health crisis, and I'm like, hey, what's going on with Danny? Like, fucking, what's wrong with me?
Bert's calling to pray for me.
Bert's one of those guys that like you just instantly feel like you've known for your life.
You do.
Like
You do.
this brother. This like I just want to hug you. I just want to come over and like hang and talk in your backyard. Like you're awesome.
Yeah.
My daughters would eat Colt up alive.
Oh yeah. You mean my son Holt?
Holt.
Not Colt.
I'm sorry.
But most people think it's Colt.
Yeah, because we live in Indianapolis.
But Holt was my maiden name.
Must have been thinking.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Holt was my maiden name, so that's my son.
That makes so much more sense.
So it's all coming together.
So you and your brother and your sister and your mom and your dad are touring.
Playing different instruments, singing, and then there would always be a kind of a fun comedy component of what we did. And so we started doing variety shows. and where we would do music, and then I'd come out in character, did a bunch of different characters. So that's where my character work started, is on stage with my family. And I loved it. I loved kind of morphing into another person's point of view, if you will.
Danny changes. If you give him just a point of view of a person, or a wig or a hat or a prop, it's like, he'll be like, I know this person. I can tell you where they went to school.
And you can appreciate this, Bert, in comedy. People size you up as soon as you get on stage. Yeah. So I've done some stand up and things like that, but it was a little more difficult because they're saying, okay, what's the jock got to say, right? What's, okay, what hard life has he had or whatever. So I actually, but I'm like, my niche is sketch. I like getting into other characters and doing that. So, and I had an interesting growing up. Not only was I in this singing family, traveling family, but I also went to urban schools. I was the token white kid, if you will. So I had that side of things. So I had all this influence from the black community that I loved and was really a deep part of me. And so when I was doing my one-man comedy show for a few years, that was a big part of my show. Half my characters were black characters.
Yeah, you were touched by the culture.
Yeah. Believe it.
Deeply.
Yeah,
I was touched by the culture.
Our wedding, when we got married, it was over 50% of the guests were black. And in my mind, I'm like, I didn't get to grow up around diversity or anything like that. And that was one of the things that drew me to Danny, is that he had all these friends that looked totally different than I did, or anyone that, and our church we ended up going to out here had 40 nations represented.
Crazy.
And so we were like that when we started having babies. Our white babies were like the only all white babies in our group. I mean, it was like, we feel so sorry for you kids. You're boring, Yeah. And so anyways.
Was there a time that growing up that you felt like your parents weren't cool, where you were like, I'm done with this. I want to just I want to be a teenager. I don't want to go sing on the weekends.
Not necessarily. I liked what we did.
That's cool.
If anything, there was a platform there for to me to perform, and and it was more than performing, because you're basically kind of in a ministry. But I loved the thing for me is I love to make people laugh, and I saw a heaviness on people that would come in, especially in the church, which was kind of crazy. Is them
why y'all sad? We should have some joy up in here.
Kind of carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders, and then I'd get up there, and especially as a kid, and there's something innocent about a child that people trust, and so I'm getting up there being silly, and I saw these little frowns turning upside down. I'm like, dude, I want to live in this space. This really was fulfilling to me. So
that is something that I think is heard flippantly. People hear that and go, oh yeah, whatever, but I don't think anyone understands, and I hope that we can translate it to them. But to stand in front of a group of people that are actually going through stuff in life, and a lot of times people are going to church sometimes for the first time in a while, because shit's going down.
Yes.
Yep.
And if you can make people laugh, it happened to me when we thought we were going to have to put down Priscilla. Greg Giraldo's special was on, and I was really upset about thinking that she had some knee surgeries, and he told a joke that made me laugh, and I forgot about everything.
Exactly.
And it really is a beautiful thing, and I share that obsession as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
But so then you did that until what age?
Until I went off to college to play football.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
So you dating girls in high school going, hey, you should come out and see me with my family this week.
Yes.
Shut the fuck up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'd be, hey, we're having our Valentine's variety show. Come on out, Yeah. And that was, and I'm up there doing funny stuff and characters and singing and everything else. And it was, it wasn't normal, but I think it was very intriguing to people, and the fact that we're kind of spreading joy, if you will, it was cool.
You can't shit on it.
No,
you can't shit on it. That's one thing. I'm not a clean comic. None of us will ever shit on clean comedy.
Right.
Because and especially hard. Man, I get obsessed with Christian comedy. There's
this. Do you? Who?
There's this woman. There's this. I'll call my manager. My manager's Christian. Legit.
Oh, legit, not a fake one, not a Secret Service one, not a fake one.
She'll quote the fucking Bible to you. Hold on one second, I'll find out her name. But
we probably know her, but go ahead. Yeah,
I guarantee you do. Hold on one sec, I'll call her. So where did you go to college?
I went to a smaller private school called Olivet Nazarene University up in just south of Chicago, in Illinois. And so I went there, got some offers to walk on at some D1 schools, but I got money to go to the smaller NAIA schools. So I said, all right, I'm doing that. So went there and played football, loved the school, loved the smaller community, and continued to do the fun stuff on stage. We did variety shows and fun things like that. So
nice.
That's when I wasn't playing ball. I was still trying to make people laugh. And
you're just outside Chicago?
Yeah, just south in Kankakee, Illinois.
Is part of you going, I got to go to Second City?
Yeah. You know what's funny? At the time, I didn't know Second City. And
he was in his Christian bubble. And so.
Yeah. I didn't know Second City, and we did what we did, but yeah, I didn't know of the but cut to. I studied at the Groundlings out here.
I think I knew that. Now I know I'm certain you don't. I don't think you're trying to craft your image, either of you. But there are things that I'm totally comfortable talking about that not everyone is. I do understand that.
Oh, yeah.
So if I ask you a question and you don't answer it, just say marshmallow,
Next.
and then we'll
marshmallow?
just marshmallow. So did you go to college a virgin?
No.
Ah, nice. I'm fucking fascinated by that.
I went a virgin, but I didn't get married a virgin.
So I had a really hard time when I lost my virginity. Is probably the closest I've ever been to God. Is I went to church all the time because it really fucked me up. It wasn't a beautiful experience. It was very fumbly and accidental, and people have heard it on the podcast. So I'm not going to reshare it, but I went to church a lot during that period, and I had a hard time because I had a lot of Catholic guilt.
Yeah.
How did you feel when you lost your virginity personally with your relationship to God? How did that feel?
Well, it was interesting because not only was it just the having sex, but it was a thought that you would have, because it was the teaching in the church that I grew up was very legalistic, and it was about do's and don'ts, rules and regulations. And for a young guy, especially a teenage guy, man, that's hard, especially when they're praying or preaching hell from the pulpit and like, hey, if you have a thought, you are going to hell.
Judy, what's the name of that Christian comic out of Atlanta, that lady that we liked?
Lady that we like out of Atlanta that's Christian.
I think she's out of Atlanta. She talks about her husband, maybe.
Oh, it's Candace.
Anita Renfro?
Anita Renfro, do you know her?
Oh, Anita Renfro. No, but I'm going to look her up.
Who were you going to say?
Candace somebody.
Candace, she's the really
Candace? Is there a Candace you know?
No.
Okay. I'm sitting with Kristin and Danny. They're on my podcast, and I'll send you some of their info, but you're going to love them.
Hi.
I'm excited to be turned on to him. I was curious after we talked about it yesterday. Yeah, I can't wait to check that out.
Yeah, by the way, you're on the podcast. So all right, I'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.
All right, bye. So I apologize.
That's okay.
You were saying the relationship, the do's and don'ts.
Yeah, do's and don'ts, and just you're hearing that everything you do, you're going to hell for. No sin will enter heaven. So if you sin, even a thought in your mind, you will go to. So find yourself going up to the altar, which is the front of the church, where you give your heart over to Jesus. I'm doing that every week because I'm sinning all week long and be like, oh crap, you get.
God.
So I carried around. It was really terrible life in that, especially at that age, because you're wearing like this blanket of guilt, like you mentioned, around your, and it's heavy. There's a lot of condemnation to it.
There's no freedom.
There's none whatsoever, no freedom at all. And so that was kind of that spiritual roller coaster that I went through, and it was torment, man. To be honest with you.
Did you talk to your brother about it?
I did. Here's what was difficult for me is that my brother was literally the guy next door that people refer to as just, man, the dude was the nicest guy in the world. And when he
never did anything wrong.
No, never. Like I'm not kidding. He was the greatest big brother ever. He was very handy with with building things. He would offer to build me and my friends things at the house, and just so he had this. So I just really looked up to him as just the most awesome
model guy.
Never fought. He would, it was just a weird kind of he's still to today, just the sweetest guy. But I'm
not
looking,
the person you want to come and be like, dude.
Yeah, it was like James, Jesus' brother. You know, man, you don't want to be that guy, right?
Jesus had a brother?
Yeah.
Yes.
For real?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he didn't believe that Jesus was the Son of God till after Jesus died and was resurrected.
That's a typical
that blow your
big
mind.
brother shit.
Exactly.
Right.
I can't let you know that I think it now. Wait till
you're
you
the
die.
Messiah. Yeah.
Had a brother named Jimmy?
James. Yeah, no.
Yo, Jimmy. You're the Messiah, you arrogant prick. Yeah.
You guys are always paying attention to Jesus. This is so ridiculous.
Yeah, he's out there walking all
he gets nailed to a cross and everyone's going to fucking... he shows up 3 days later. What the fuck?
Why does he get to walk on water? Why?
Yeah, dad's
sure,
like...
Sure, his dad is in him. It's God. Sure. That's what we're going to tell everybody.
Dad's like, can't you live up to Jesus? Come on, Jimmy.
How come you can't do as good as Jesus? Where are your disciples? Where are your followers?
I got a dog.
Like you walked by a bunch of Romans and Jews, and they didn't even turn an eye at you. Oh fuck! I could do Christian comedy.
Right,
yeah,
right. I mean, honestly, that's hilarious. So that's kind of what that's funny. I've never even thought of my brothers that way, but yes. So he had that.
By the way, anything we say joke wise, you guys are totally gonna. It'll never work on my act. You guys are totally you can use
free to use it.
We talk about joke wise with Christian.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yes.
Okay, so keep going.
So yeah, so that was kind of my life, seeing this. My brother kind of walk the straight and narrow, if you will, and I'm over here. Just
messing up,
left
and right.
I was more curious with life and outside of our walk with Jesus, and I'm like, man, and so I my outside relationship with girls,
booze,
but until I got to college.
Okay,
and so it didn't last long, but I experimented in college a little bit, and funny enough, I went to a Christian university and I got caught drinking, which was it was a dry campus. And yeah, I know.
He doesn't even know what to say now.
More
a dry campus. That's almost as crazy as Evergreen University out in Seattle.
Yeah, right. So, and I got caught and I got suspended for a football game, man. And so for me, that was because football is my first love.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
what position?
I was a quarterback, and then
of course you were.
Yeah.
A fucking course you were.
So I got caught and I was like, man, this sucks. So I just knew that I had to play by the rules, if you will. So I cleaned it up and just stayed away from it. I mean, we casually drink once in a while now. We're not anti-alcohol or anything.
We casually drink. I wish I knew what that looked like.
We're anti-losing self-control. That's our goal. It's like, hey, we don't want to be out of control and be in a place where we can't be there for somebody or for ourselves or for our kids or if anybody does want to talk about God, I don't want to be like, well. I want to be
marshmallow.
Yeah. So I did that. Yeah, I played ball, and then I eventually, like Kristin mentioned, I went overseas and played a little bit over there, which is cool experience to lace them up, do what I loved, and soak up the world a little bit. And
That's great.
Yeah,
you guys both had that kind of
yeah, exactly.
And that's what drew us together. I mean, when you're young and you're 20 and you've been to 25 countries, there's not a lot of people that have. And when we really bonded over that. We still love to travel together. It's a huge passion of ours.
Yeah.
But we met in LA through friends during that time I was on Idol. So to take you back, we meet as friends. Again, I'm engaged to someone else. We stay friends for 3 years. He sees me go through a number of different relationships, but is always there for me as a friend and just great advice and never judged me. You know what I mean? Him and my friend Danique, who was my maid of honor in our wedding, who she's a believer too. She loves Jesus, and she saw me go through all this and just never judged me through it. She loved me. She'd I could show up at her house, drunk or something. She'd be like, come on, get in here. I love you, And I felt safe around Danny and I felt safe around Danique. And they were the first two believers that I knew really loved Jesus deep down that loved me too. So sorry, Bert's listeners, we're going to get Jesus heavy.
Do you want to go into the faith thing now?
It is. Yeah. It is a weird thing. And I have it. And I have I have faith. I don't know where. I don't know. Maybe I'm in my lost period, but I have faith. I pray, but I have a hard time saying that out loud. And I do when I hear Jesus and I hear believer and I hear stuff. It's the same. It's like a weird kind of like a trigger. Like you go, ugh. Yep. Like it's a thing. Like when I hear Kirk Cameron talk about Jesus. The joke I used to say is if he just pulled it back a little bit, I think he'd get it so much more. And you guys do that, but it's part of the thing. It's like the same thing. If you're gonna say, I should say the same thing about gay guys. Hey, don't wear the cowboy boots and the short shorts if you're gay. Keep it in the closet. And it's the same thing about religion or black people or anyone. I would never say that about black people. Yo, pull your fucking pants up. Stop not pronouncing words. I would never say that.
Sure.
But it's a weird comfort to say that with Christianity,
right.
With religion,
right?
That people go Like people mock Mormons.
Yes.
Boy, Mormons are some of my favorite fucking human beings.
They're the nicest people ever.
On the planet.
I had to explain Mormons to my daughters. We were just in Park City, and I was like, "No, they're fucking awesome."
Yeah, show me a mean Mormon.
Yeah.
I challenge you this week to go find me a mean Mormon.
Yeah.
No, but for us, I think we're always drawn. Look, there's always going to be like a restlessness in our soul because we weren't designed. Like this isn't the end spot for everybody. Yeah. Like. We're designed to live in another world.
Okay, you're going to give me an anxiety attack talking about that shit.
But
like, no, that isn't. At 46 years old, I have panic attacks when I think about the afterlife. I have legit panic attacks.
Well, you shouldn't have panic attacks about that. You should be at peace with knowing that, like, we'll talk about this. But anyways,
go ahead.
Talk about more of the abundance on earth.
Nothing in this life is going to satisfy because we weren't designed to be satisfied in these flesh suits that we're wearing. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. And until we are leaving this earth and going into our spiritual place to be in heaven forever, it's not going to feel good all the time. Even when you are a Christian, it doesn't mean you may not ever have a panic attack again.
So
we're not designed to be here. This is not our final destination.
I had this so funny you say that. You are paralleling a conversation I had with a woman. I can't remember her name. She was on my podcast very early on, and I think she had some PTSD things, and she went down and did an ayahuasca trip, and all her anxiety left, and she sat in that chair. This is back when I did the podcast a little differently.
Yeah.
She sat in that chair, and she told me, we're not meant for these suits.
No.
These are just earth suits, and it was identical, and she wasn't Christian. She was just like woke in the universe of psychedelics.
Yeah.
And she had the exact same conversation. Maybe I either need to find Jesus or take ayahuasca or both.
Or both at the same time. I don't know what your journey is going to be, Bert, but I do know once you start being open to the idea, look, are you a truth seeker? If you're a truth seeker out there and you're someone that says, I just want to know truth, I would say Jesus is worth the experiment. What are you afraid of to even try it? To even open the Bible, I would say start in the book of John and read that. Don't go in order. Don't go because it's not meant to be that way. Read the book of John and just open your heart and don't read it with judgment. Don't read it with like this preconceived idea that like, don't tell anyone you're reading it. You don't have to do it. Just give it a try. If you're a truth seeker, what are you afraid of to do it? It takes just as much faith not to believe as it does to believe.
That's right.
And so whoever you are, whether you classify yourself as agnostic, atheist, searching, questioning, hate religion, love religion, you think you know Jesus, maybe you even don't know Jesus, you need to like really just say like, I want to know truth. And I'm willing to just say, God, if there's a better way, show me a better way.
Okay, and I'll do that. Is John?
John, it's a book in the Bible.
Yeah. I'll read John.
It's a gospel.
And I would say...
So they sing it?
I don't know, maybe you could ask...
I'm being serious.
No,
is that what that means?
No, a gospel means good news. And so there's 4 books in the Bible, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And those all talk about the life of Jesus walking on the earth.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Those take place when Jesus was walking.
So it's the same story told by 4 different guys, but it's the
different accounts.
Different accounts. But
Jesus.
but like Billy Graham.
I went to All Boys Catholic High School. How come I know so little about the Bible?
Well, because a lot of churches are guilty of not encouraging people to actually read their word and know what it says for themselves. And they're saying, put your trust in me, this guy up here with the funny hat, and trust what I say about the Bible. And I'm like, that's what I was raised in. Like, don't actually open it and read it for yourself and trust that God's going to use his Holy Spirit to speak to you.
I'm reading John tonight. I've never been more Did they have it on audiobook?
Yes, they do. But the Bible on audio, you can read.
I'll do audiobook John.
And don't focus on, hey, you might just want to read 2 verses and let it marinate. Don't feel like you got to read the whole book. Just if you read the first one you're going to read, John chapter 1, verse 1, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. That's heavy. In and of itself. That's verse 1. There's a lot of verses in John. So just read and go, what the heck? And ask God to speak to you as you're reading it.
I think
we all come, and
I think we all come to that place. That was for me because of all the things that I mentioned of the legalistic stuff. And you find yourself, I found myself distancing myself from the church because I'm like, man, I don't want to be associated with the condemnation and things that come with it. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. Like, man, I grew up under that. That just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Plus, you see, it kind of jacks people up. And so for me, I'm like, okay, I don't want to be associated with that. But I knew that I had to settle the God question. And we all do in my life. And so kind of like Billy Graham, which was probably the most respected,
one of the most amazing figures. When I did a little deep dive on him right when he passed. fucking amazing. And I did it because of you guys.
The library, yeah.
I did it because of you guys. You guys went to the fucking library.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
You started in LA?
Yeah.
Like, shut up.
Tent revival right here.
He was interviewed by, Hollywood celebs. I mean, he was a phenomenal guy.
His interview with Andy Warhol, is that who? Or no, not Andy Warhol. Woody Allen.
Woody Allen. Yeah,
if you Google his interview with Woody Allen, it's amazing.
Awesome. It's awesome. And he was so settled in his relationship with Christ. And I think that's where when you see a pointed finger coming out of the church and judgment and all of a sudden, I'm like, are we settled or are we not? Right?
Yeah.
You've never won someone over. No one's ever come to know Jesus and the real love that he offers by being condemned and pointing out all their flaws. And so for us, like Billy Graham, he stood when he kind of before he got into the ministry, he went out to the woods and laid open his Bible and he's like, God, either this is real and I'm all in, or it's not. Or it's not. And he said, and so he just chose and if your word says what it says and your promises are yes, then I'm going to try this. I'm going to go do it. And he just trusted in that, not on his own understanding and the simple minds that we have, but he trusted on, I serve a big God. And if he truly is my creator, then I want to walk with that with my daddy. Right.
Yeah.
So
I'm either going to put all the chips in or I'm not going to put any on the table at all.
Yeah.
Because to me, that's the really only choice we have.
Yeah.
Is you're either going to believe the whole thing or don't believe any of it at all.
Oh, see, I'm just putting in the blinds.
Yeah.
I'm just putting in the blinds.
Yeah.
And then just going, I pass.
But it's
that's good to start. But it's like, you're going to get to that point where you're like, look, Jesus was either crazy and a lunatic or he was the Son of God. I mean, there's no weird, what was he? Yeah. To go through what he went through. I mean, that's the litmus test of whether Christianity is true or not. Did God really come down from heaven in the flesh of a human to show us a better way, to die for the sins of humanity so that we don't have to pay the penalty for what we deserve? None of us here can live a perfect life. We all fall short. The Bible says we all fall short of the glory of God. You're going to be selfish one time.
That's not what Twitter says. They say they're all doing it right, and I'm doing it wrong.
There you go.
Well, get off Twitter. I tell people, I'm like, there's a lot of wrong snapshots of God's heart that's in culture. that things that are being... And now we live in an opinion-driven culture more than anything. So you got people that are saying, I'm starting a Christian podcast, and you listen and you're like, oh my gosh, please stop classifying yourself as Christian, Yeah. But you can classify yourself as whatever you want to and gain all these followers, and people start thinking you're an expert in that category. And I tell anyone who is seeking, agnostic, atheist, we do marriage conferences, we preach at churches, whether people think they know Jesus or not. I'm like, get in your word, people. Read what the word says. It's fine to listen to a podcast here and there, but don't get a wrong snapshot of God's heart for people in your soul, because that's going to steer you down the wrong way. He's a good God. He's a good God.
Well, now tell me. Well, hang on. I want to hear about the church story that you were telling me.
Yes.
But you came out here.
Yeah.
You get into Groundlings.
Yeah.
You're trying to do stand up. You're being a personal trainer.
Yeah, that was my livelihood. I was doing stunt work and specifically for football commercials.
Yeah.
Kind of naturally fit into that. So I was doubling, NFL quarterbacks and that kind of thing, which was cool. So it was just it was a piecemeal, income that I was bringing in to survive in LA.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my thing. Comedy was my
go to church.
Occasionally, like Kristin.
Okay.
And,
when we started dating, we moved in together right away.
Yeah, moved in right away, and then we had, after sort of the infatuation stage, ended. The real you starts coming out, and it caused some friction in our relationship, and it was tough. We both had dysfunction that we came from. We quickly got into a codependent relationship, just trying to get our emotional needs met by the other person, and when they didn't meet those expectations, and it just got nasty.
We had a lot of high highs and a lot of low lows.
We knew how to have fun, but man, we just had no coping methods whatsoever. When an argument came, you just blow up, and then the next blow up is worse because you're dumping the past blow up on that one. And so it was a vicious cycle. And then, man, I run into a friend that I had known before that wasn't walking with God at all, had nothing to do with him, and bump into to her, and she was like transformed, like for real. It was very genuine, and she's like, Danny, man, God changed my life, and it spoke to me. I was like, dude, and
I was rolling my eyes. I was like, oh my gosh, here we go at this time in my life.
And the greatest thing that I saw was humility that I never saw from this girl before, and so for me, It spoke to me, and like 2 weeks later, she invited me to church. She invited us to church, and 2 weeks later, I'm like, Kristin, would you be willing to go to church?
And I was like, no, I've been to church my whole life. I went every Sunday. Why are we going to go to church? It's not going to do anything.
Yeah. But
I went for him because I loved him. I'm like, I'm going to go one time, one and done. We're going to go one time. So we go to this church.
Yeah. Go to this church, and it was a bigger kind of move and shaking church that you've seen. And we were about 5 minutes late. The ushers, with their like Secret Service, headphones, like right down, man. They bring us down to like row 2, right in the thick of things, and it's just like bumping. The music was phenomenal. It was like,
but it was weird because they were all raising their hands during worship, which I did not grow up in. I was like, do all these people have a question while the music's playing? What's happening? Why are we raising our hands? And so I was like, okay, we got through the music. And the pastor comes out and gives a great message. I respected the guy. I was like, wow, that was it was applicable to life. Like, it wasn't a lot of standing and sitting down, and I don't know what I'm doing now. And it was just, he told real stories. He was honest about his past and where he had come from, and he had been a drug addict and all these things. And I was like, all right, this guy's cool. And then at the end, they do an altar call, which is where they say, if you would like to give your life to Jesus, raise your hand and come forward. And I was like, people are gonna get up maybe and go forward. That's weird. And I feel Danny stand up, and I'm like, dear God, please tell me he's going to the bathroom. Like, Danny! Like, I'm going home with him. I'm going home with him after this service.
Yeah.
And so he gets up and goes forward, and he's like crying at the altar, and I'm like, oh my God. And so I'm trying to get out of the church as fast as possible. When they release people, I'm like, we're going. He makes a detour to the bookstore. This church had a bookstore, first of all. I was like, what kind of church has a bookstore? And he goes and he starts buying all these new believer books, like materials. And then he starts signing up for ministries, like the men's ministry, and like serving in areas. Like day one, he's basically wrestling snakes and talking in tongues on the way to the parking lot. And I have
a visual of the congregation coming out all dressed in white, carrying Danny on their shoulders, and you're outside dressed in black, smoking a cigarette like, this motherfucker.
Like, oh,
that's hilarious.
God, like, I agreed to go to church with a guy one time. I thought I knew everything there was to know about church, and then we're just gonna go and get a few nuggets and then go home and live the way we've always lived. And I'm like, so it's quiet on the way home. I didn't even know what to say. Yeah, I did not know what to say. We're at home, and he starts reading the Bible like every day. Like, I was so annoyed. And I would be like upstairs getting putting my makeup on, and I had this sixth sense of like when the Bible would open in the house. I would be like, do my makeup. Yeah. He's downstairs. I just knew he starts reading the Bible, and I was like, there is a Bible, and it is open in the house. I was just like, ugh. Like, and that would cause a fight. That would cause a fight. The fact that he's reading the Bible, and then he stopped fighting back. That was the biggest change for me. I would do my normal like say something and just pick a fight and like, let's fight like we always do. Come on, and then we'll be quiet for 3 days, and then someone will start talking, and it'll be okay. And God was working on his heart, going, just love her. I know she's a handful. I know she's going to do this, but you need to love her.
Now, were you cool? Were you cool at this moment? If you're like, hey, if she never accepts God, then that's our path.
No. Not in the sense that you will know Jesus, but I wasn't settled because the peace that I was experiencing, I wanted for her. Because she was so unsettled, and it was a wrestling that I had even to go up, to rewind a little bit of why I even went forward, is that people would say, man, Danny's a nice guy, but man, I was wrestling with like we all do. We're just selfish people. I mean, that's the sin. The root of sin is selfishness, and so I lived that life basically for me. But even in my niceness, there was manipulation attached to it, and so I wasn't settled, and so I felt like I wanted to ultimately break the addiction of me. There was no satisfaction.
I'm so addicted to me.
Yeah, and more than ever. But man, there's not freedom in that. I think we that's like our dailies, right? I mean, we're on social media. I mean, that's what we do, and so it's a lot about you. But when you find yourself, when I started kind of being transformed and realized that life, I felt like life really began for me when I learned to serve others. and take the giftings that I was given by God and say, man, this wasn't really meant for me, even though I get rewarded, but I'm serving other people like you do, Bert. I mean, you're going out and you're providing medicine to people and having them laugh and forget about their things. And so, but you get fulfilled in return because you're like, man, this is where
you're in your calling.
You're in your calling. This is what my purpose is.
God's giving you the gift of laughter.
And so that was kind of the decision to do that. So cut to, we're in our house and I started experiencing this peace and kind of more seeking truth and understanding it. And I really wanted it for Kristin because at that point, she was more unsettled than ever because here this guy that we have a codependent relationship makes a decision to follow God, and she's like, it freaked her, it scared her. She's like, what is now this? What does he expect of me?
Well, it changed the dynamic of our relationship, our conversation. I'm like, I don't want to talk about God. And so what are we going to talk about now? How am I going to relate to him? And so things got worse before they got better.
Yes.
And, and in order to get better, you had to schedule an exorcism, correct?
Yeah.
Basically.
How great would that be?
Unbeknownst to her.
But when you said, like, were you cool if she didn't find God? Look, it was a hard season for Danny. He had a lot of talk with his friends. Like, what do I do, man? It's like, this is hard now. And I'm not as attractive to someone who's doing that anymore. You want to be equally yoked is what the Bible calls. It's like, you want to have those big things in life in agreement. You can differ on this, that, or the other. But at the end of the day, it's like, how are we raising our babies? What do we believe? What do you think about that?
How are we going to retire?
How are we? Yeah. All those things.
I think about that all the time.
Hey, and in the midst of this, in the midst of us, not seeing eye to eye, I started getting vision of us really doing what we're doing now, which is, I don't want to sound freaky about it, but I started really getting vision of her and I in the long haul together, working together, doing something cool with purpose. And so when I started, and that was really what was hanging me on, if you will, to be like, man, in the roughest times, man. And I think that's for all of us, not to bail on things that you feel like, man, this is what I'm called to do. Even in the roughest times, like, man, that perseverance, that builds character, right?
Yeah.
And so when you feel like, man, forget this. And I feel like in relationships, we're more guilty of that than ever, of saying, times are tough.
I'm
Peace,
out.
I'm
Deuces.
out. You're right. But man, the most rewarding relationships in our life, I think we can speak to, are the ones that have gone the distance. You mentioned your friend earlier. I mean, if you get into like a brotherly fight, I mean, those things, like when you can come on the other side of it and be like, dude, I respect you, man. I'm down. And I realize that you're with me. You're in the trenches. And so that was for me to see what Chris and I like start seeing like long term, even though it was mucky in the moment. Like, man, I'm stepping on my tippy toes if I'd have to see down there what we're going to do. And I just kind of held on to that. So
really he started getting the eyes of faith and not looking at current circumstances and going, no, I see us going here. And even though you're a stinker right now, Kristin, which I totally was like a big stinker, he had friends in his life that were like, man, what if you're only here on this earth for Kristin's heart? Like, what if you got to stick this out and love her? Like, don't get married yet. Don't commit that, but like, love her. So we end up breaking up, moving out, not because of like, go ahead.
We were in New York City. And we had a blow up and at the Rainbow Room in New York City.
Got in a fight in
a
fancy restaurant.
In the restaurant and go our separate ways basically. And I'm kicking the curb and about midnight in New York City. And man, I felt like God was just speaking to me. He's like, man, you need to, I want her heart and you need to get out of the way.
Quit trying to give her your relationship.
Trying to give, like, you know how people are guilty of that. They find Jesus and they got to tell everybody, like, no, you need this, right? And I was guilty of that at times. And so I'm like, he's like, you need to step away. You need to get out of the way. So I'm like, so we got back to LA. We actually took separate flights back to LA. It was that.
It's a bad fight when you pay a change fee to take a separate flight home.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a fight.
Like, I don't even want to sit by you.
Yeah.
That happened with me and my entire family one time.
Oh, that's fun.
My dad. And it was a rough fight.
Good one.
Yeah.
It was a rough fight.
Yeah.
But it's bad. Like, your money is like, that's an idol you're not getting rid of your money. I'm like, dude, I don't care what the change fee is. We're not sitting next to each other.
Yeah. So I get back, I break up with Kristin, and really I was just kind of commissioned to pray for her, just like pray from a distance. I just can pray and just be, just love her from a distance, believe for the best. So
yeah, but we were still going to the same church, which is fun when you break up and you're going to the same church and you're sitting on opposite sides of the sanctuary. And I was like raising my hands, looking over to see like, if Danny, was he here, but my heart hadn't fully changed yet. I respected the pastor's words. I respected the whole like church that I was in. There's a women's conference at that church that Danny was praying that I would get to. Yeah. I go. During the time we're broken up, I pulled up all my old friends that I used to party with and went back to my old ways, like 100%, like during the time we were broken up.
How long is this time you guys were broken up?
A couple months.
Okay.
And it was immediate. I was just like, man, and because you go back to what's familiar and what was always your medication, so to speak, and the things that would like help medicate you and make you feel better in the moment until you find real peace. And nothing can counterfeit the peace of God. It might for a moment. You might find something that, I felt good when I did that for a second, but the peace of God is the only thing that sustains, and nothing can replicate it.
That's right.
And so I hadn't found that yet. I get to this women's conference. I have my club clothes on. I'm going to go to like Spider Club or whatever was the cool club at the time back then. And I was just going to go in for a minute. And this woman was on stage preaching, and it was like she was reading my mail. It was like there was 1,000 women in the room, and it's like she was just talking to me, and I was like super annoyed. I was like, I almost like left like 5 times, but I stayed. And then they did an altar call that night, and I was the first one up there. Me.
Same thing that happened to you.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
Yeah.
I was the first. I felt like angelic hosts were like pushing me up. I'm not the type of person that would do that in front of people. I'm like so conscious about what people think, and like, and I go. I'm the first one up there, and I was the last person to leave. I don't know if anyone else even came up that night, but they were like, "Ma'am, you got to go. It's 10:30. Like people are
vacuuming.
leaving. They're vacuuming the altar." I'm like, she don't understand.
Jesus is getting off the cross. Hey, even I'm going home.
Exactly. It's
You're
okay,
good.
lady.
You're good. I bled and died.
But I bled and died. It's over. But I was like, I was almost mad because I'd been in church my whole life and not ever experienced the realness or presence of God. And that can happen. You can watch, just because it says church on the building, don't let that deceive you. The presence of God is not in a lot of churches.
Yeah.
There's a scripture that says you can have a form of godliness and be void of everything that has to do with God at the same time.
That's real.
So there's a lot of deception in every area. Look, you got it. I mean, people use atheism as a way to make money and write books on it. Yeah. People use religion as a way to make money and do this on it. I'm like, and I would say to anyone, to go back to our truth-seeking talk, man, just dump all that out. Dump what culture has put on any of those categories and seek it for yourself.
That's right.
That's true. So then you find it, you feel a change.
Oh yeah.
And then
call him that night. And he answers, and he had not answered my phone in 2 months. I was trying.
So you call him, he answers, and you're just like,
tell him. What was I saying?
Yeah, well, it was funny because, Bert,
I got bit by the God bug, Danny.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
I found Jesus, baby.
What are we gonna do now?
I had a tambourine. I was like, hi.
I fuck with you now.
Yeah, we can get with this. I was kind of watching the clock, and I didn't know if she was going to get to that conference or not, but man, she called. And I literally, in her voice, I heard something that I really had never heard from Kristin. That was humility. I saw this deep humility that I knew was real, man. Almost like the girl that I mentioned earlier. Yeah. It was crazy.
I was like, man,
she's like,
I
God,
know this is crazy. I'm sorry. First of all, I'm sorry for being a stinker.
And that was huge.
And I had this, like, God put it on my heart all that night. Like, you need to call this person. You need to write a letter to this person. You need to do this person. Just whether they respond or not.
It's a moment of clarity.
Yeah.
And one thing that stood out was stood out was that she felt like God reached down through a cloud of fear that just kind of hovered over her life and like rescued her. And that was big for me. So she called, she's like, hey, can you meet up? I'm like, man, absolutely. Cause I love the girl, man. I mean, going back to the airport story, I always had a heart for Kristin. Not to be weird. I initially I felt like kind of a big brother, just kind of like, because I knew town, I knew Hollywood, I knew the town, I knew it swallowed people up, and so cut to we're dating. I certainly fell in love with her, and so she's like, hey, do you want to meet up? I'm like, yeah. So we go, and she just starts, man, it just starts coming out of her. I'm weeping because I'm like, man, I love this girl. I see that she experienced the love of God for the very first time, and it's something that doesn't come with conditions, man. That's so cool.
So then, okay, so you guys get back together.
Yep.
You decide to get married.
Yep.
Well, we stayed living apart. We stopped having sex. So for the first year and a half we were together, we lived together. We're having sex, even though we were going to church, all that stuff. We break up. Yep. We have separate places. It was like we dated two different people. Honestly,
starting getting counseling. We got counseling.
Premarital counseling.
So that's where I want to move to.
Yeah.
So you guys then are living separately, stop having sex.
Mm-hmm. Made a lot of changes.
And then when do you start having sex again?
Marriage night.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
Oh, and
that was so good.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It was awesome. It was
because you guys knew how to do it. You knew what each other liked.
Yeah.
You're like, oh shit, I forgot I can ride bikes.
Yeah. And it was was a healthy relationship, man. The first year and a half was like I said, dysfunctional, jacked up, and then we get into a relationship where it was just different. It wasn't perfect, wasn't easy.
Yeah.
But
I never felt more pursued as a woman in my life than I did the year and a half we stopped having sex, lived separately, because I'm like, dude, this guy is willing. I'm like, is willing to, like, it's not that Danny didn't want to. People make fun of guys that do that. I'm like, it's not that they don't want to. They're not a man and like don't have that urge. I mean, they're like exhibiting crazy amounts of self-control, and it's telling me like, you honor God and you honor me.
That's the big
First
thing.
of all, you're gonna wait that long for me to do that, and so it was amazing, and I'm glad that we have that perspective, because now we're able to. I get people that live together. I get people that have sex before marriage. There is no look. God is all about heart transformation and not behavior modification. Just give him your heart. Don't worry about, do I have to change this behavior? Do I have to do that? Do I have to do that? Like, just give him your heart and see what happens.
Yeah. So, and we messed up by pointing the finger pointing toward the behaviors instead of like, man, pointing them just toward Jesus to say, he's going to love you.
So then you guys leave LA, go back to Indianapolis. That's where you're from.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you start doing the videos.
Yeah.
Were you just like, like, did you get a job in Indianapolis?
No. No. So we're out here. We actually started the videos in LA.
Yeah.
But not regularly.
Not regularly.
It was like
sporadic. Yeah. The social media thing really changed things traditionally, how you get work in LA, especially for Kristin as a television host. Her jobs were getting taken by YouTubers. And so it affected
I remember this one job I had forever. I was like, always had the job.
Yeah.
And then one time I lost it and I was like, who am I losing this job to? And they're like, I don't know, some girl licked a PlayStation 4 and the video went viral or photo went viral or something, and we're going to let her host it because she's got a lot of people on.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? She's never hosted a show?
And so you go, fuck it, I'll just join them.
Well, we didn't have a presence
I was
online.
like, does anybody have a PlayStation 4?
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, we didn't have a presence online, and I was doing my comedy. I had a friend going like, man, you need to start trying to do something online, to put butts in the seats, to where you perform. So then, but Chris and I, going back to that story I mentioned about always seeing vision of us working together, we were like, man, maybe this is the opportunity. And so we shot a couple videos out here in LA. They started resonating with people and it encouraged us to do more. But at the time, we were still sporadically or piecemealing work together to survive. And then Indiana represented, man, more disposable income, family support. We can go back there because it's hard when you work together. So we're like, hey, we go back there.
We're leaving out the whole Danny used to go pray in the mountains every January to get vision.
By the way, we're gonna do a follow-up podcast to this.
Okay.
But
so anyways, there's more to the story.
No. Yeah, for time reason, because I'm looking at a house.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, yeah, whatever.
Okay, what?
But
but boo. What do you want me to do? Cheer or boo? I don't know.
No, it's out of my price range.
It's out of my price range.
Yeah. But we're gonna do a follow-up podcast because I'm in Indianapolis on my tour.
Oh, nice.
And I'll have a podcast set up on my tour bus.
Oh, awesome.
And so we're gonna do a follow-up podcast, and then I'm gonna go to church with you guys.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, why not? What the fuck? I'm up for the truth. I've done all the drugs there are to do. Let's try some Jesus.
The Jesus drug.
I'll make sure our pastor has lots of Jesus juice ready that day.
Do you guys have like a noon church thing?
Oh yeah.
Is it early?
I think
always?
our church has a 4 p.m.
They do. They actually have 11.
I wouldn't mind a happy hour church. So
communion. Yes, I'll take 2.
So wait, but let's get to you guys. Because if I want to make sure that we wrap this up nicely with what you guys are doing now. You guys go out now and you speak mostly to couples, right? To relationships.
Yeah.
And you preach kind of about laughter is the best medicine.
Yeah. Making sure there's joy in your home. First of all, are you laughing together? Because that's a sign if you're not. You need to, there's always those vital signs in relationships that we kind of don't look at. And we get into this familiar grind of just the mundane ho-humness of life. And it's like, how are your vital signs in your marriage doing? And we're very passionate about we celebrated 10 years this past year. And we've had a lot of this. And we know we're still going to have a lot of up and downs for the next 10, 20, 30 years. And we don't know it all, but we share a lot of funny stories. Just some of the stuff that we've talked to you about, finding the Lord. Now, how do we deal with Danny's personality? He loves people. He's relationship driven. I'm super results driven. And so to the point sometimes where I'm like, quit talking to people and let's get to the goal. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, but meet Bob. I found this great guy. And and I'm like, but Danny, Bob's not the goal right now. Like,
so how does that work when you guys go to a conference and talk? Do you do like an hour? I mean, I'm just curious, like from a performer standpoint, do you do an hour and do you guys have a set list set up of like, these are our bullet points, these are what we're going to do?
Great question. Yeah, we to rewind a little bit, when we went to Indiana to the videos that weren't Jesus related, weren't even relationship related.
I didn't know you guys were Christians until I met
exactly.
your family.
Yeah, so we were doing just things to have fun and lip sync. Yeah, so people were laughing, they were kind of connecting, and then we started getting calls to go out and perform, mainly entertain at live events. Yeah. And so we would go out,
events. Corporate events. We were clean. A corporate event, they're like, look, I just need to know that you're a clean or whatever you're gonna do. So we started doing
clean comedy entertainment, hosting, emceeing, that kind of thing, and then the opportunity opened up to by one church that said, hey, we're having a marriage conference, can you come and speak? And it was cool because God is really using our story that we just shared with everyone about our kind of walk and testimony to go out, talk about that. So to answer your question about what do we do when we go out, it kind of is different all the time. We have the nights that we just do the fun and laughter stuff. We may incorporate a little bit of teaching if it's at a church, which is about an hour and a half to 2 hours long. But we have the occasional marriage conference, which is like a whole day Saturday, kind of like a 9 to 1 sessions, and they're sessions. So yes, to answer your question, we have set topics that we talk about. They're kind of catered depending on where we are sometimes, but we'll talk about the big picture of marriage, why, knowing the why why God.
Why are you married?
Why are you married?
If you don't know your why in anything,
you're going to lose your way.
At some point.
That's right.
And so we talk about vision and keeping vision very
teamwork. Working as a team, I'm a big team guy, obviously in sports. So working as a team and how that looks.
Danny always comes over like when I go to Crazy Town as a woman. Go to Crazy Town, not as a woman. Anyone, men can go to Crazy Town. But
Crazy Town.
When I go to Crazy Town, I go more than he does. That's why I mentioned me.
It's funny. Yeah, you guys. I'm Kristin. My wife is Danny.
So I'll go to Crazy Town, and he'll always, in my love language, if you've ever heard of love languages, it's like how you receive love and then how you choose to give love. I'm a physical touch person. If someone hugs me or just puts a hand on my leg, something, I'm like, it calms me down. Mm-hmm. And so when I go to Crazy Town, I don't even know what's happening and I can't think, and all the chemicals in my brain are going like this. He'll come over and just put his hand on me. He's like, babe, we're on the same team. Yeah. And I can't tell you how revolutionary that was. For him to know that I needed that, and it would like cut through all the chemicals that were happening, just the touch, and I'd be like, you're right. Why am I fighting against you? Yeah, I'm mad at most of the time it's other things like unseen forces that are just irritating you, and you take it out on the people that are closest to you.
We're on the same team. And take these 2 pills and settle down.
So where do you want this journey to go? Like, what do you want? What do you want?
Yeah, we have a heart for relationships. We do. Whether you're married or not, and when we talk about sort of righteous or healthy relationships to those who aren't married, and we talk the healthy and what probably God intended to for that to look like in marriage. And so we talk about that. We know our own struggle. We know what life looked like before we incorporated God into our life, and then after. And it's just a drastic difference.
And big picture for career wise, real quick, do it. But we want to do, you mentioned podcasts. We have more, we want to just keep expanding our Laughter is the Best Medicine reach, doing family friendly videos where God is always welcome. Sometimes we talk about it.
You guys did the vlog, and it's almost like you kind of stopped vlogging a little bit.
Because,
hey, babe, come out to the man cave real quick.
I love that you have her saved as baby doll in your phone. Super cute.
But it's the best because we all pronounce it the way our car says it. When I say, call baby doll, it goes calling baby doll.
Baby doll.
Why is it Russian? Baby doll. Call your baby doll right now. Call the baby doll and do the thing.
So then you guys have a podcast in the
mind.
Works?
Yeah,
in the works,
And we didn't just want to do it. Like, we thought about it, but we didn't want to like just do it with no intention or plan.
And the biggest challenge, Bert, is that we're a team of 2. And so when you talk about
this is my wife, Leanne.
Hi, baby doll.
I'm Danny.
This is Kristin and Danny.
I'm a hugger. I'm sorry. Hi. Oh, good to meet you.
I've been watching you guys for years.
Oh, that's so cool. We're so excited to talk to Bert and meet you and get to know you guys better. We're gonna hook up when he's in Indianapolis.
They live in Indy, and so when I'm in Indianapolis, I'm gonna have them come out to the show, and then I'd like them to come out to the show, and then we'll do a podcast from the bus. Halston will fly out. And so you'll see Halston again.
Hey,
and then, Leanne.
But have you seen his stand-up before?
Oh
yes. Yeah. We did it. We
turned it off after 15 minutes, but then we were.
I thought, I am so offended. No, we did. Yeah.
Wait, have you seen his stand-up before?
Yeah. And you're going?
Here's the big kicker, Leanne. I'm going to church with them. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. We're actually going to bring the church congregation with us to see him.
No, you're not.
We're going to bring a choir on the bus.
No,
that'd be amazing. A choir on the bus.
Yeah.
We'll sing. I don't know. Hey, this is a gift for you. And while Baby Doll's here, you could just open it because it's fun. It's gifts from Indiana and one from Texas.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
So, and you could open the card later.
Hold me, baby doll.
I know I saw it on his phone and I was like, now I'm gonna.
So I don't know if you've been to Indianapolis before, but St. Elmo's.
I have. Yes,
okay,
I have.
so St. Elmo's Steakhouse.
Fuck yes.
Is one of the best.
Oh, is this your cup?
That's our mug.
Laughter's Best Medicine mug.
Yep. Start with the.
Is this a soap?
Hoosier Oat and Honey, because we're Hoosiers in Indiana, and that's homemade goat milk soap.
Take this on the tour bus with me.
There you go.
Oh my God, this looks edible.
Yeah.
That's my mom's banana bread, my Texas mom, and it's amazing.
Listen to Leanne just got perked up.
Yeah.
And a chocolate race car.
Indy 500, baby.
500.
Oh, a chocolate race car.
Yeah.
And there's no marijuana in this.
No, sorry.
Yep.
10 years ago, I probably could have hooked you up, but not now.
And this is really sweet. Your address is...
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, but we just wanted to just tell you that we love you.
Yeah.
You're like family already. And I'm so glad we get to meet your wife. Yeah. And is it Halston or Austin? Halston. So thanks for having us, man.
This is really great. No, this has been great. I want you guys to start a podcast, and the reason I wanted to have you guys on here is people. A lot of podcasting is really interesting, and I think a lot of people draw strength from two of my best friends are Tom Segura and Christina Pajinski, and they have a podcast. It's about them, and I know for a fact that a lot of people in their own relationships where they are lacking, sometimes they will kind of adopt the sensibility that Tom and Christina have, and they'll have an inside joke and they'll find things to make each other laugh. I know that you and Tom and Christina would have absolutely nothing in common as couples. Trust me. But what you guys have together is the same thing that they have together. And I think what I notice because Tom and Christina and I share a lot of the same fans, when they come out, their relationship as a couple is similar to Tom and Christina's. And I thought that's super cool that a couple can then, and I think a lot of people see themselves in me and Leanne. Leanne has a podcast called Wife of the Party.
Wife of the Party.
But she started a podcast because she was a little lost and didn't know what she was doing and didn't feel like she had a purpose. And she started a podcast, and now she loves it, and it's thriving. It's really changed her as a person. You can see it in her face. Like when you said she found Jesus, Leanne found Jesus when she found a purpose in life.
Yes.
And she started her podcast, and she
our
was
purpose
motivated.
is connected to our creator. That's where I would say. I'm like, you're tapping into what you were designed to do for this moment in time. And there's, I always wonder, like, why am I born at this time? Like, why wasn't I born in and it's like, well, things are evolving out of this place where whatever God put in me there's tools available now for me to do that and to birth something that only you can birth.
But I think you guys starting a podcast would be very healthy. And I don't think that every single one of my listeners would be like, I see myself in Kristin and Danny.
I hope it didn't make you lose listeners.
No, not at all. You have no idea the people I've had on this fucking podcast. Oh, there have been people that are like, bro, I'm still with you, but no more of that guy.
I see your comments, and you know what was so cool?
Do not read my comments. Do not read any fucking comments.
Well, we had some people come over to us that were they're like, I'm here because Bert sent me. Or, Bert told me to come here, or this, that, or the other. And everyone was so respectful. Even people that were like, I don't really dig what y'all do, but I just wanted to come by and check you guys out. And I was like, thanks, man.
They're cool. The people that listen to this are cool. They're just cool. They're not dicks. They don't get online to fuck with you. I mean, they do sometimes, but it's always in good fun.
Yeah.
Me and Tom break balls a lot. And so they'll do it back and forth for us. And sometimes it hits close to the bone and sometimes it doesn't. But I think you guys starting a podcast and just, and sharing what you guys are what you do on stage,
sure,
and in a weekly with a lighthearted take could be good for people, and
It'd be really good for people.
It'd be really good for people.
Thanks.
Thank you for the encouragement.
Thanks, baby doll.
No, but
that was directed to her.
But so, but are we still gonna go look at that house?
Yeah.
So we're gonna go look at a house. We'll walk you guys out. I'll see you in Indianapolis.
Awesome.
And
exciting.
Hopefully, I mean, maybe I don't know what our log line is, but maybe we can do the follow up and attach them together. I don't know when we'll release this. We're backlogged a lot for this tour.
Hey, no worries.
But
when are you in Indy?
Oh
wow.
No, I'm not.
Not next week.
Oh, I am next week.
Yeah, it is next week.
Oh, I'm next
Dude,
week.
so that they made.
Motherfucker.
So who knows when's
Hold on.
gonna air?
Hang on. I'll tell you. I'm in Indy at the Egyptian.
Room. Egyptian room at the Marat. Yeah.
I have two shows. One at 7 and one at 10.
Look at you, got an indie base.
And oh fuck, I don't think I can go to church. Unless.
We'll bring our pastor to you.
Yeah.
Can you imagine sitting in the front row? Who's this clown?
Bring your most open-minded, Christian friend, like just someone who's like, he's cool, he gets it. I just want to see how I register with him. I am in St. Louis the next day.
Yeah, but we'll do it and if it doesn't work
what day
out,
of the week is
you're coming out that weekend regardless, right? Yeah. Oh fuck yeah! Oh, this is gonna be awesome. So Saturday on the 19th, we'll podcast.
Saturday the 19th, we're there. We're in town.
We'll podcast and we'll tether these two.
Okay.
And then hopefully, if we can find a way, I would love, maybe I can get the bus to leave the next. How far is St. Louis from Indianapolis?
About 4 hours.
I can probably leave the next morning, and then me and Halston will go to church with you.
That would be amazing.
Depends on what time is church.
We can go to 9 a.m. if you're.
I mean,
you're
there's
down.
an early service.
Yeah. They have them in the AMs. All right, yeah.
They got them in the AMs. And there's a Saturday night service.
So,
but
yeah. And I heard Joe Rogan and Bill Bert talking about weren't they saying they were going to go to Joe Osteen's church or something?
Yes,
like that?
did you listen? I know you like Bill Bert.
They're
both good to my friends.
Yeah, but they,
dude, we love
I
them.
listened to their whole talk on church and some of the bizarre
we were cracking up
parts of it, which is very funny.
Yeah, they're really great guys. Yeah, this is going to be great. I'm really glad I connected with you guys.
Us too. Thanks, man. Thank to your listeners.
Out,
so cool that letting us come on, and we're just excited to know you.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, to be continued.
To be continued.
Fuck yeah.